Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
That's what I'm talking about. It is Tuesday. All of our guests today brought to you by Al, Chris Manson, and our friends at the Whistler Golf Club. And those guests include Ross Tucker for the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, CBS Sports, and Westwood One in the wake of the Eagles' 40-22 blasting of the Chiefs in Super Bowl 59. Ross joins us now. How are you, sir? Thanks for doing this.
I am awesome. Good to talk with you guys. I'm awesome, but not awesome. I'm very happy with everything that happened on Sunday, taking my family to the game and the team we wanted to win and winning the game. That was very cool. I highly recommend that when you go to a game with your family, that team wins. That makes it a lot nicer. But I'm not awesome because this is the last time I'll be on with you guys for a while. Always a little bit bittersweet and sad. I always miss Donnie and miss making fun of Rick.
Hey, what was that like to have your kids there at that game? Yeah. You know, watching the team you grew up cheering for. In a Super Bowl.
Man, you're gonna get me choked up. Man, it's weird, especially because the Eagles were beating them as badly as they were. I just kept looking over at my wife and saying, "I'm just so happy right now." Like, this is perfect. It was because it's not conducive for me sitting next to other large men, right? So it was 11-year-old daughter, me, 13-year-old birthday girl, and my wife. So it was great because I had these two little girls next to me on either side, so I felt kind of spacious, you know? But I could put my arm around them. You can't do that with a random guy you don't know either. I could put my arm around them. And I just held him a lot, and we cheered together, and it was just perfect. It was awesome. It was very, very. It would have been great either way, obviously, but it was clearly, I would say, very unexpected. Right? Like nobody thought the game would be 34-0, 40-6. Yeah. I mean, even me in the second half, I was skeptical, and then I thought. After like the first field goal, I said, "Wow, this is really happening. Like they are really just going to kill them. Like this is unbelievable." And we had tickets to the Eagles post-game party, so I really wanted them to win because I had heard those things are like a funeral afterwards if they lose. So it worked out very, very well.
What era? What Eagles team hooked you, Ross, back in the day when you were a kid? What era was that?
Okay, this is great. This is fun, actually. My favorite player ever was for the Philadelphia Eagles. Rick, can you guess who it was?
Ron Jaworski.
You know what, Rick? That's incorrect, but that's a very fair guess.
I grew up watching him.
That's a very fair effort by you right there.
I loved him. I grew up watching him. I loved him.
That's funny. Yeah, you're old. I forgot that you're old. So here's what happened. First game my dad ever took me to.
Yeah.
The starting quarterback, 1985, was Ron Jaworski.
Okay, there you go.
But anytime it was third and long,
yes,
they would bring in a rookie quarterback by the name of Randall Cunningham.
Oh, yeah.
And none of us had ever seen anything like him. I mean, he was 6'5". He could throw the ball 80 yards. He was like the fastest guy out there. For some reason, anytime he was about to get hit, he would jump and float through the air. It was just absolutely incredible. Randall Cunningham, my favorite football player ever, other than me, I guess, but my favorite football player ever. And that's what hooked me. And they weren't good. Mm-hmm. You know, Donnie, it's a great point. I'm mad at the Eagles. Well, I think we won 2 playoff games my entire childhood. What the heck, man? I mean, now they win playoff games every year. The second Super Bowl in 3 years. Where was this when I was 9, bro? That would have been really nice.
Yeah. Ross, you're talking to people who follow the Vancouver Canucks, all right? So nobody's shedding a tear for you, trust me.
Exactly.
What's the Canucks history?
Not good.
Great.
Not good.
They've been to 3 Stanley Cup finals since 1970. Lost them all, and after 2 of them, there were major riots that made their way news-wise across the world. That's the history in a nutshell, right there.
When's their last one?
2011. Look it up on
Okay,
YouTube.
so
You'll have
who do
fun.
you think has the worst run right now, Vancouver or the Maple Leafs in Toronto?
Oh, it's Toronto.
Oh, Toronto, because they haven't won a cup since '67. But the last time they won a cup, it was with only 6 teams in the league.
Yeah.
So people in Vancouver just say it doesn't count.
That is unbelievable. Yeah. That like two of the most marquee Canadian cities that love hockey, that string of inept, like what are the odds of that?
Well, they're pretty long, actually, but we're very well aware of them. I'll tell you about that Eagles team back in the day. A lot of people in Vancouver, this is before your time, they had a defensive back by the name of John Shara, who was a BC Lions quarterback. It was a big deal when they signed him coming up from UCLA. I think he played in the Rose Bowl. Yeah. So a lot of people liked the Eagles back then, and John Shara was there for that Raiders-Eagles Super Bowl back in the day. But enough history, Ross. Jalen Hurts, what did he prove to everybody, not just Sunday, but throughout the playoff drive for the Eagles?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that he plays his best when it matters the most. You know, I mean, he didn't have like a great year. He had a good year, but he didn't have some great year. Nobody was talking about Hurts in the MVP conversation. In fact, he kind of got overshadowed by Saquon Barkley really until these last couple games, you know, the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. And that's probably the most important thing, especially when you have a roster as talented as the Eagles. They're going to play in a lot of good games. I mean, I'd have to go through it. I would say 9 of their 10 best players are under contract for the next 2 years, which is just bananas to think about. So they're going to be good for a while. They're going to be playing in big games, and they now know that they have a quarterback that, for whatever reason, plays his best when it matters the most, which is probably more important than putting up a lot of stats during the regular season.
Ross, defense wins championships. That Eagles D, 6 sacks, 11 hits, 2 picks. They made Mahomes look average. They were dominant.
That's the worst I've ever seen Mahomes look.
Yeah.
I've never seen him look that bad. It was stunning to behold. It really was. I mean, you know, we never see him like that. And I was thinking during the game, because there's all this conversation about, you know, Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady and whatever. I don't ever remember seeing Brady look that bad or play that bad. Now, people hit me up and they said there was a game against the Jets one year when Sanchez, or a Ravens wild card game, but maybe because it wasn't like a conference championship game or a Super Bowl, we didn't notice it as much. But I certainly have never remembered Brady playing that poorly. I think you got to give a ton of credit, obviously, to the Eagles. You know, if you can get that much pressure, only rushing 4 guys, and the 7 coverage guys behind him are that good, then that's the formula. I mean, that's what everybody's looking for, right? Be able to get there with 4 guys. Eagles D-line, and some of those guys are young bucks. They ate up the Chiefs' O-line. It was not close.
Ross, we did not like the halftime show. We ripped it yesterday on the show. What were your thoughts on the halftime show?
I almost never really watch the halftime show. Wow. I don't really care. That's when I'm taking notes. You know, that's when people have it. I will say this. It was a major bummer because that's something that my daughters are really into. And to have a halftime show where I didn't know any of the words to any of the songs, I don't know. I mean, maybe that says more about me. But that was a bummer, right? Like, it would have been really cool if it was a super well-known halftime show that my daughters could have been really into. But for whatever reason, that was not the case. I don't know why. I don't really even know much about that guy. I'm sure there was a lot of people there that seemed to really like him and that they were really into it, and I guess I'm happy for them.
Ross, my front page story. Valentine's Day coming up.
It is not too late, and if you're one of those people that waits till the last minute to get a Valentine's Day gift, like Rick, you can still go to myfrontpagestory.com. I've actually decided that this is almost better. Order them a story at myfrontpagestory.com. Print out the email confirmation that you get, put it in the envelope, hand it to them on Valentine's Day, and say, honey, I'm having a story professionally written about you by an author. That sounds amazing. And think about, guys, the anticipation every day as FedEx or UPS drives down the street. I don't know if you guys have FedEx or UPS.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a pretty big company. I'm guessing you probably do. At any rate, can you imagine her waiting to get this story in the mail and how excited she is to like rip it up and read what a professional author wrote? Like, it's like two gifts in one. It's three gifts. It's Valentine's Day envelope, it's the anticipation, and then it's the story themselves. So for once in your life, being a procrastinating Rick can come through for you. MyFrontPageStory.com. Best Valentine's Day gift ever. MyFrontPageStory.com.
We have Chuck Wagon up here, Ross, but I'm sure they'll deliver in time for Valentine's Day. Hey, quickly, ski trip. Where are you going?
Yeah.
Big Sky, Montana. Head out Thursday. Always Thursday to Monday. Still waiting on the waddling dog and our car place. Everybody else to fund me to come out there to ski up in British Columbia.
Basant Motors. Well, one of these
Basant
days.
Motors. Yeah, because listen, with everything you save on that terrible, dastardly tax, they should be able to send me up to Whistler to hang out with you guys.
We'll work on it. Look up John Shara, quarterback turned defensive back, Lions, Eagles. Ross, we can't thank you enough. This is our last regular hit, but we can't thank you enough. It's been great.
It's been awesome. Reach out to me before the draft or whenever you need me. Great talking with you guys.